everybody, and you are very welcome to the South Tip Arts Podcast. This week, we'll be taking a look back at the 2019 Clonmel Junction Arts Festival, which has just finished up in the town. We'll speak to volunteer Billy Barrett about his experiences of the festival this year. We'll be having a chat with LIT student Claire Bentley, who this year worked on a very interesting podcast project for the duration of the festival. And we'll also be hearing a little piece from the Robert Ballagh Artist Talk, which took place in the main guard during the festival. And don't forget, that piece of Robert Ballagh's People and Frank Stella is on display at the Showgrounds Shopping Centre for the rest of the month. It's well worth a viewing to anybody who may remember it from its past life in the Quinsworth complex in Gladstone Street here in Clonmel. Next week we'll be bringing you the entire Robert Ballagh talk, which was a very interesting interview with Fran Curry of Tip FM. But just for this episode we will play you a little taster from that interview. So first up, I had a chat with Billy Barrett, who I've heard described as volunteer extraordinaire this year at the Clonmel Junction Arts Festival. I thought Billy was in a unique position to show a different perspective of what it's like to work on the festival from the inside. Okay, so I'm here with Billy Barrett, who I've heard described as volunteer extraordinaire for this year's Junction Arts Festival. Billy, you're very welcome to the South Tip Arts Podcast. I think you probably have a unique perspective on the week and, you know...
To some extent I possibly have. I spent a lot of it up in the little information booth on the top of Mitchell Street. And one thing I'll say, the feedback that was coming back was so positive. I didn't get one negative comment the whole week up there. I gave out more brochures, I said, and they nearly printed. But it was, feedback was lovely, and the reaction from everybody was so positive. It was a nice, great place to work.
Yeah, and they were so lucky with the weather this year as well, so that really...
We could not have got better. It was like as if we booked it in
advance. I know, isn't it brilliant? So you saw pretty much everything event-wise that went on.
Well... Not really. I was kind of, what would you call it, event manager, I think is the title they gave me, down in the cabaret room, which for me was one of the better venues because it had the creme de la creme of what they were putting on this year, and it was 99.9% stunning. Don Juan was one of the best pieces of theatre I've ever seen in my life.
So that was the kind of participative audience thing, the comedy.
Yes, from a New Zealand crew called An Isolated Dog, I think they call themselves. But they're touring, and they have toured Clonmel, Edinburgh, all over New Zealand, and Clonmel is the only Irish venue they put it on in. And this is something that you're unlikely to see again because it's a unique piece of theatre that they wrote, directed, produced, and did everything themselves. It was stunning. I saw it 2 days in a row, and I could have seen it another two.
Okay, and was it different? You know,
it would be different because the audience participation dictated how much audience participation dictated what they did next, and the whole thing. But it gelled so well. And
I actually saw that, and it jumped out from the programme. Even though I didn't get to see it, I thought half of me would have said I'd love to see that show, and the other half of me would have been like, no, I can't go to that because in case you got put the finger on.
Luckily for me, I had one of those little tags, which meant that you were kind of part of the officialdom, so they left you alone,
safe,
which made it nice and easy to watch. But the venue is stunning. That venue down there is absolutely lovely. Yeah. And when they finish it, it'll be one of the top venues in town.
Okay, fantastic.
There's a lovely floor, the old original 130-year-old maple ballroom floor.
Okay. So is there a renovation job going on that at present?
They'll be ongoing. They're hoping to put in full facilities there with bar and everything else. Irene and Jerry are doing some work down there.
I didn't realise that any of that was going on.
Lovely venue, lovely venue, and hopefully it'll be used more and more.
Oh,
deserves
brilliant.
to be.
Yeah.
So it was a lovely venue, and everything that went on down there it's comfortable, it's big, high ceilings, not too packed, and everything. The finale there was just non-stop flow of local talent. It's an amazing town for a relatively small town. The amount of talent it produces is gobsmacking. I mean, to a point there standing watching, where are these people coming from?
I know, Why did I not know about this?
Well, I know Rory Gillespie, I know since he was 2 years of age. Yeah. But the group he put together to play on stage, I can't even think of the names offhand now. But they were unbelievable.
It's fantastic.
As everything else was. The whole thing. Rebecca Keogh was another really outstanding piece of work. Fantastic vocalist. Great songwriter. Alternative rock stuff was unbelievable.
Really good, yeah.
But it's because of my connection with town too that I knew a lot of the guys who were on the thing. You know, they know me from coming in buying school uniforms with me over the years.
Yes, yeah.
But,
Like everybody knows you from the school uniforms, yeah.
But Electric Orfeo, then the other Clonmel-based one, were another stunning band, because it's the kind of music I listen to, which would be kind of alternative jazz stuff for years, and 70s jazz and earlier stuff, and it was just right in my place too. Beautiful, really fantastic night. Great night though. It was the whole thing. And one thing that hadn't been said during the whole lot, and I'd like to lay it down here now, is that Clíona deserves so much praise for what she did in such a short space of time.
Absolutely.
That she had 3 months to put that together.
Yeah.
And she put together a show that would knock the socks off any other town could do.
I know. Yeah.
Unbelievable stuff. And she so unassuming about it, and just gets on with it. And Colin as well, of course. Colin does this professionally, anyway, as Clíona does.
Well, actually, she drew a fantastic team of people, I think, together as well.
They all were.
And it's the way she works. That's a special kind of talent, to be able to bring everybody together
and draw the best out of people.
And draw the best out of people.
And get them to do things without being asked.
Yeah.
You know, but I loved it. I mean, I absolutely loved giving the time. I was doing 10-hour days, but it didn't bother me. You know?
See, it's lovely to be part of.
Oh, fantastic.
You know.
And to see it from the side that you don't see, and see how much work goes into putting on something like this. It's phenomenal. I mean, I was in one venue, and the turnaround there, and the amount of tech stuff that was going on there in one night, and that was only one venue out of 4 or 5, and it was unbelievable. And everybody just worked along and got along famously. Like there was no hassle, no acrimony, nothing. Just
so
lovely.
There was a good band of volunteers, like you being sort of probably one of the
I was
chief.
a senior citizen.
Yeah, so
most of them were a hell of a lot younger than me, and a lot more energy, but they were unbelievable. You know, I mean, several times now I'd have to do something else, and I just asked one of them to do what I was doing. For 10 minutes, and there was never a bother. You know, it was always.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And it's lovely to have that, you know, because we're coming up and asking could they do something then, like, you know, it was a nice thing. And having worked with people all my life, like, you know, it was nice to have a bunch of young people who are absolutely brilliant in what they can do, you know, and leading to their own devices, and they'll come up with solutions to problems, without being told what to do, and it's fantastic. I've done that always, you know.
So just a highlight of the week, like say your favourite.
For me, down there it would have to be Don Juan. Have to be. Two's production of the Down the Rabbit Hole was good, was superb. I mean, an amazing show that they put that together. The amount of work that went into it is phenomenal, but it has to be Don Juan out there, because it was different, because the Junction at Clonmel Arts Festival always has brought something different and quirky to the town, and that was this year's different and quirky one, you know. And as I say, I saw it twice, 2 days in a row, and I'd see it another 2 days.
Did you get to see the laptop ensemble? That was something I was.
Because I was down
I've
there.
I've heard amazing things about that.
I saw photographs, and it looked absolutely brilliant. I spoke to a couple of them in Phil Carroll's, I think, the night after one of the gigs. Briefly, and they were chuffed with the reception they got.
Oh, that's really good.
They were really over the moon.
Yeah,
you know,
and apparently Eamon O'Malley's gig was incredible.
I'd love to have seen it. I'd love to have seen it. I saw Robert Ballagh's talk. That was about the only other thing I saw, because I was down there really from 6 o'clock most nights, you know, so anything that went on down there I saw.
You missed it. Actually, we've recorded the Robert Ballagh talk.
Yes.
So for anybody who missed that, it'll be coming out next week.
Stage,
so we'll have a little clip of it at the end of this, but we'll bring the whole thing out next week on its own.
Yeah, it was superb. It really was. This year has been phenomenal for me. I'll be getting more involved, I hope, next year now, you know, because I enjoyed it so much from the scenes.
It's such a buzz,
but it's just doing things in the background that you don't actually see being done, and things just happen seamlessly.
You never
and
see.
You're going to the shows and you say, God, this is very simple. It is hell of a lot. It's not simple. It's a very, very complicated setup, you know.
And what was lovely as well, and it looked like there was a lot of work attached to it, to me, was the Down the Lane project was lovely too.
One of the lanes actually would be across the road from my old shop, and that's where we grew up playing when we were kids. 20 families, they're all playing up in that lane. And to go up there now again, I was talking to one of the guys who we grew up with, Jared Byrne, the other day, and we went through the lane, and he was saying, "Oh, remember this and remember that, and remember the other."
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
So it was lovely, you know. And those lanes should be used more.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're part of the history of the town, and they're a very important link to the history of the town. They should be developed.
Definitely, lots of stories have come out of this. I think because of things like that, the using of those places, and then the big Robert Ballagh, the Frank Stella, down in the Showgrounds. That being just reintroduced to the town after
spending 27. Of all his works, actually, that's the only one that remains. He did 15 or 16 of those on commission from from the time he installed that one.
Okay.
He got 15 other commissions, and that was the first, and it's the only one that's left. All of the rest of them have been either destroyed,
Oh my God.
demolished, or sold on, or whatever. You know,
Wow.
but they're all gone. That's the only one that's left.
And was it the same image in all the...
No,
like, chains? It was
different
yeah.
projects for different
Okay,
developments. You know,
Oh, it's fantastic, yeah.
and
yeah.
the talk. I mean, as you say, you're going to put it on after this. The talk was superb because
It
he
was
comes across
excellent, yeah.
as the most unassuming. He is he kind of downgrades his own amazing talent. You know.
Yeah, he's a great
But a
character.
lovely guy, you know.
And really easy to listen to.
Oh,
and
yeah, I did listen
well
to it.
able
I mean,
to
it was about 35, 40 minutes to talk. It felt like about 5.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
And Fran just started him
And
off like
Frank's
left
so
him
good,
off.
yeah, he
Left
really
him off
is,
into
yeah. So you definitely feel like after this year's experience that you're going to get more involved with it from now on, yeah.
I'd
And
love to
look-
because it's something I've always loved, even from the start of the Junction when David Teven was there.
Yes,
from the very
yeah,
beginning.
yeah.
I was involved both sponsorship and whatever when I had business, but
Yeah, but it really always has been.
yeah, but I
fantastic.
could never get involved from this end because of what I did would have been up to my tonsils at this time of the year, so I didn't have time.
Yeah.
So now, the last couple of years, last year I was sick, so I couldn't do anything. This year I said I'm going to get involved now. I was talking to Clena and I said it to her one day that if she wanted any help, just give me a ring, and she did. So
fair play.
I got roped in enough. Here we are.
Yeah, very good. Well, look, we look forward to your involvement with it next year and into the future, and also Clena's, because I think she's done such a
She
good job.
will bring this thing to heights that it's never reached before. I think.
yeah.
And one thing, it's going to become much more inclusive, which is great. It's going to bring more people
That's
in.
it,
People
and
who
that's what you
wouldn't
want.
necessarily go to theatre or to stuff like that will be brought in because it is a fantastic outlet. To see live theatre and live shows it's a completely different thing than reading a book or watching television.
Look, people do so much
fabulous,
complaining that there's nothing on in the town. This
And they
town
still-
is notorious.
But let them go to it and
Yeah,
use venues
so
like
come
the
when they're
Shrieveling
on,
and like that.
Yeah.
Use these places
Yeah,
that are there,
absolutely,
and bring them into the fold with the thing and open it all up. I mean, it was lovely working down there. Even with the people who run the place were fabulous. We had a great time down there.
Oh, that's great.
So it's great,
Thanks a million for talking to me, Billy.
Not at all. And if you need any more, I can fill you in any other bits
Alright.
and pieces if you want to.
Thanks so much.
Okay, that's been great. And talk to you again soon.
So Claire Bentley is a student of LIT here in Clonmel, and this year, as part of her work experience, Claire produced a podcast centred around the Junction Arts Festival. So Claire, first of all, tell me a little bit about the course in LIT here, and just in case people don't know of its existence.
Well, the course I originally signed up to was called Creative Multimedia, but last year they changed the name to Creative Media and Design, but all the subjects are still the same. So any people who go into it this September, it's the same course that I'm doing now, just a different name. The subjects are very varied, so it's kind of, you kind of don't go in with like one area in mind. It's kind of the course for someone who doesn't really know, who wants to do something in computers, but they're not really sure what area they want to like focus on. Because you do a lot of programming, web dev, graphic design, and then you also do like animation and like 3D modeling and like photography. So it's kind of, it's for everyone, it's not really, like games design, you know what you want
It's
to do
very
in games
specific,
design.
yeah.
I think creative multimedia is great for people who like computers,
but
and
they're not
want to
quite
be there.
sure.
But they just don't know what they're doing.
So obviously, this podcast for you is part of a work experience module that you've got to do over the summer. So you're obviously heading in the direction of the audio work.
Yeah, well, I wanted to originally get into like kind of PR and that kind of work where you're working with a client on like events and managing their like social medias and stuff like that. And I thought, because I needed to stay in Clonmel for the summer for my job, I thought the festival would be the perfect opportunity, because it is like a real-time event where the events you're working on happen a few days later, so you get to see immediate results. Like with the podcast, for example, we decided to do it because like the people my age, we didn't really know this was something happening in Clonmel. Like as big as it was, after I noticed it this year, I saw things everywhere. But for the last like 2 summers, I've been in Clonmel and I didn't even know this was happening. So
Isn't it amazing the way we sometimes go around with our eyes closed?
Yeah, it really shows. If you see one thing, you just like, because once I saw like a poster, I was like, oh, that's why all those people are over there. That's why all those people are in the alley. There's something happening for the festival. Like it's once you know it's happening, you know there's all these events you can go to. But we had no idea. Like no one in my class knows there's a festival in the summer. Like, it's so odd.
That just seems incredible. Maybe that's something that could be worked on then. You've discovered that through your, process, that that's something maybe to strengthen those ties between, or somebody like you can take all that knowledge into the college now and kind of, encourage others to get more involved in what's going on around them.
Yeah, we could definitely like plan, especially because I'm on the student union as well. We could plan like an event where maybe for the placement, maybe next year, people could take part in the actual festival, in the events and stuff. That would really bring some knowledge to people.
It'd actually be a lovely work experience to do, to like come up with a project for the festival or put on an event, or
it's very practical as well, because a lot of work experience that you end up doing is like sitting in an office typing up documents for some company. But if you like have something like the festival, for example, I was like doing things every single day. Like, I was talking to my friends who are up in companies in Dublin, and they're just like put into a corner, and every day it's like, type up this document, go here, get this. But like every day I was going out doing interviews, talking to people, taking pictures.
So did you attend many of the events through the festival just as part of your work?
I did and I didn't. Like, sometimes it was unintentional that I ended up somewhere. Like, for example, I was walking in the street and I saw all the stuff in the alley by Penny's, with the dream catchers and stuff.
Yes.
I didn't plan to go there, but like I stopped in anyway because it was so...
That
it like catches your eye from the street.
Didn't it? Yeah.
You see it all the way down from like Holland and Barrett. You see it straight away. It's so cool. Obviously I went to the Robert Ballagh thing because I was working quite a lot on that. I was going to attend the Molly Ann King event with the sculpture, but I was away on that day.
Centre,
yeah, like there was so much going on that I just didn't. Oh, and the solar studio as well. I went and saw that.
Okay, yeah. That was an unusual kind of concept, wasn't it? And there was somebody different in it every day.
Yeah, I'd love that was here all the time. Like, it was just somewhere you could hire out to like, if you were doing an interview with someone, you could like rent it for an hour, and if they just kept it, that'd be great.
Yeah, it'd be really good. Yeah. And I suppose they're sort of modular in a way as well, that you could start it and then you could maybe build or grow. Or
definitely,
it's a lovely idea.
There's loads of room around as well. You could pop a few around Clonmel.
Yeah, so did you must have got an incredible sense of the kind of buzz, because you were putting your podcast out every day. So you worked on that with Bernie Goldback from the college.
We worked on that together because he has like the knowledge of... because he has tons of these by himself. And he interviews people all the time. So we just like came together to work on something because it would benefit both of us. Like, I would get the experience of creating a podcast and like going out and interviewing people and like actually doing something that people are going to hear. And he benefited because it was under his name on his
absolutely
what I mean? So he was also getting
an exchange there, which is lovely. And did it make you get out of your comfort zone, Oh,
definitely. Like, I was coming home from work every morning and being like, okay, now at like 10 o'clock I have to go here and do this. And even though I'm so tired when I come back, because I have to wake up at like 6 or something for work, I usually am so tired. I'm just like, okay, I have to, it doesn't matter if I'm tired, I have to go here and I have to do this, and I have to go down to the shopping centre and see what they're doing with the pieces, and I have to email these 15 people. And it was like, so it didn't feel like I was working at all, but like obviously I was producing something that people were seeing, but it didn't feel like, because there was so many people taking part in the event and it was so like fun to like work on, it just didn't feel very like a work placement. Like, you do this for this many hours and then you can leave.
Billy mentioned the fact that he was doing 10-hour days, and even though he didn't feel like it was work at all, because I think when you're involved in something like that and you see the energy in it, and it kind of gives you a lift and it helps you to keep going. Like,
you don't even realise how much work you're doing as well, because I have to fill out like work hours for the placement, and like you write down what you did on Monday and Tuesday and how many hours you spent each day doing work, and then when you like add it up at the end of the week, it's like, oh, I didn't realise I spent 30 hours this week working on this project. It's mad, because it doesn't feel like... Sometimes I'm like, oh, should I even put that down? But like, because it doesn't feel like it's work, I'm just like, oh, maybe I shouldn't even add that in.
I know what you mean. So would you have a highlight from the week? What will be your takeaway from the whole experience?
Like, I know I keep like going back, but I like really loved the Robert Ballagh thing. Like, I didn't think I'd be so into it, because like when I originally met with Kalina, she was like, oh, there's this artist and he has all these panels, and I had no idea like who this even was. But I got so like I really love them. Like, I really wish they were going to stay up in the shopping centre, because I don't feel like they're dated at all.
They actually haven't.
No.
They look amazing in that building. They really do.
I look like such, because I went to the shopping centre with my friends and I was like, oh my god, here they are. And they were like, oh, they're kind of like old. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, they're so nice. Like, I wish they would stay here forever. And they were all just kind of like, I don't know, like, you can tell they're from the 70s. I was like, are you crazy? Like, I love them.
They're
I
very
just feel
fresh
like
looking. And I mean, kind of retro things are quite
the style is so
fashionable, aren't
lovely.
they? So,
because now everyone wants to be like, oh, bringing things back, and it's so like trendy now to have things from the 70s and the 80s.
Record players.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not out of place at all,
no,
in my opinion, to have them. I think
not.
they really fill in the place and make it look nice.
They do. And it was actually purpose made for such a space, so why not?
And I saw Robert as well himself, but I didn't get to do an interview with him because he was going back to Dublin straight away. But like I thought he'd be like so quiet and stuff, but he's so chatty and like ready to go. And I was listening to the interview he did with Tip FM, and it's just like it's so funny. Like, I just love it. I feel like I have like a new lease for like art or something now, just through this one project.
Brilliant. It's really good to hear that,
I hope it goes up somewhere in Clonmel, that even like one or two of them somewhere, so someone else, can see them.
Yeah, it would be lovely.
It was mad as well for me, because I was doing interviews with like a ton of people about the same thing every time. It was like, oh, did you see the pieces? Did you like them? And I got like such a wide variety of like responses. Like, some people were like, oh my god, I loved them. Every day I would go there and I'd be so happy to see them. And other people were just like, no, I hated it. Like, it just like, this one person I interviewed, they were like, I didn't like it at all. It was so like, it was mad.
Amazing, perceptions are so different, but that's a good thing too, and it's nice to see the spread. So your favourite thing about the week was probably your interaction with the whole Robert Ballagh project and all.
I loved as well, like just the buzz around Clonmel. Every day you'd go out, like, there was so many people everywhere. There was like, everywhere you look down the main street, that road with like
Mitchell Street.
There was like benches there, and it was lovely. It was
lovely
so nice
to see, and then the weather was so good.
It was roasting that whole week as well. It couldn't have been like more perfect, because now that I finally knew something was going on, it was so like, oh, what are they going to, like, oh, this is so nice with all the benches and the picnics, and there was like stalls on the street and stuff.
It totally changes, it lifts the spirit of the place.
There's so much energy, just like, you could go out at any time of the day and everyone was out and the sun was out. It was lovely.
That's great. So do you think you'd like to get involved in it again next year?
Oh, definitely. Like, I think, if they'd have me without work experience, I definitely will ask next year if I can do something, even if it's just doing the podcast again. I wouldn't mind, like, because you feel so like achieved by just doing something with such a good group of people.
I know, and it's important that what they're doing gets out there and that people hear it, so I totally agree with you. Maybe we can do something together.
We'll just join our podcast together.
Listen, thanks a million for talking to me, Claire.
It's no problem.
It's been great. I've listened to your podcast over the several days, and it's been lovely, and that is like a little daily slice of it. Was really good, and you packed an awful lot into it. Thanks very much, Claire, for talking to me, and I wish you all the best with your future studies.
Me too, thank you.
And finally, for this episode, I just want to play a small clip from Robert Ballagh's Artist Talk, which took place at the Main Guard during the Clonmel Junction Arts Festival. We'll be releasing the entire talk next week, so keep an eye on the Arts Centre's Facebook page for news about that. If you'd like to contact the podcast, the email address is southttipartspodcast@gmail.com. That's southttipartspodcast@gmail.com. And you can listen to this podcast in all the usual places. On behalf of everybody here at the Arts Centre, I want to say a huge well done to Clín Amar and also to her amazing team who worked so hard during the week last week to ensure that the festival ran so smoothly and went so well.
Commission for the Clonmel supermarket. How did that come about in the first place?
I told the story last night and I'll tell it briefly today. I was at home. My wife was about to go into labour and the phone rang. And a chap said, I wanted to discuss a commission with you. And I said, can't talk now, bye. And my wife Julie went into labour, and I drove frantically from my house, which is not far from the Rotunda Hospital, breaking red lights on the way, and we were just outside Walton's music shop in North Frederick Street when she turned to me and said, "The baby is coming now." And so I went, "Oh!" and drove down, up on the footpath, went in, and I always remember the guy at the desk had kind of all these forms, name, the married name, address, and everything. And this is going on, and my wife's standing there, and the waters broke, and the form filling stopped. She was taken away, and I went and had to park the car because I was parked illegally outside the hospital. And I mean, literally, when I got back, I went upstairs and saw my new son and my wife smoking a cigarette, which I don't think would happen today.
I don't think so. So you went and chased up the phone call, did you?
No, I didn't even know what it was. I wasn't paying attention. But about 2 days later, the phone rang again, and a fellow said, "My name's Kieran Costello. I want to discuss a commission with you." He said, "I'm projects manager for 5-star supermarkets, and we've a big project in Clonmel, and would you be interested in it?" Of course, I said yes. And I met him. Very interesting man. I discovered then that his father was General Mickey Joe Costello, who ran Colo Shooton and Heron, the Irish Sugar Company. Really interesting figure in Irish history. And he had a really interesting and practical attitude to this commission. He didn't see this as, being a patron of the fine arts or anything like that. He saw this as the most efficient and attractive way to fill space, And